There's a war that happens every single morning. Not on battlefields, not in the streets. It happens in your bedroom, in the dark, in the silence, at 5 a.m. It's the war between two versions of yourself. One version wants to rise, to fight, to become something more. The other version whispers, 5 more minutes, just today. You deserve rest. And most people, they lose this war every day. Not because they're weak, but because they don't even know they're fighting. This is the story of a young man named Ethan. He thought discipline was about motivation. He thought willpower was a feeling. He was wrong, and it almost destroyed him. Ethan was 24 years old. He lived in a small apartment in the city, alone. But every morning he woke up at 9 a.m., sometimes 10. He scrolled through his phone before his feet even touched the floor. Instagram, Reels, other people's lives, other people's success. He told himself, tomorrow I'll wake up early. Tomorrow I'll start. He bought books on discipline, he watched videos, he made plans, but every night before sleeping, he would set his alarm for 5 a.m. And every morning when that alarm rang, he hit snooze. Again and again and again. It became a ritual, a painful, shameful ritual. The alarm would scream, his hand would move, click, silence. And then guilt. Heavy, crushing guilt. He was hating himself. Why can't I do this? Why am I so weak? One evening, Ethan sat at his desk. He looked at his calendar. Empty. Wasted. He looked at his goals. Untouched. He opened his journal, the same sentence written over and over. Tomorrow I will wake up at 5 a.m. 20 days, 20 promises, 20 failures. He threw the journal across the room. What's wrong with me? He wasn't lazy, he knew that, but inside he felt like a fraud, because he couldn't even win the smallest battle, the 5 a.m. war. His friends didn't know, his family didn't know. To the world, Ethan was fine, but alone, in the dark, at 5 a.m., he was losing every day. One night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat on his balcony at 2 a.m. The city was quiet, the stars were hidden behind clouds. He felt something he had never felt before. A man who made promises to himself and broke them. A man who wanted to change, but didn't. A man who lived in the gap between intention and action. He whispered to himself, why I can't even wake up early? The question sat heavy in his mind, because deep down, he knew the answer. If he couldn't control his mornings, how could he control his life? If he couldn't fight this one small battle, how could he fight the real wars ahead? He looked at his phone, 3 a.m., and then he made a decision. Not a promise, not a plan, a decision. Tomorrow morning, I will not negotiate, I will not think, I will just move. He set his alarm for 5 a.m. He put his phone across the room, and he went to bed. The alarm screamed. Ethan's eyes opened. His body didn't move. His mind started immediately. It's cold, you're tired, you didn't sleep well. Just 1 more hour. You can start tomorrow. This doesn't matter. His hand reached toward the phone, but then he stopped. He remembered something. The fear, the shame, the 20 broken promises. He remembered who he was becoming, a man who negotiated with himself, a man who lived in comfort, a man controlled by his feelings. And in that moment, something clicked. He realized this wasn't about waking up early. This was about who he was willing to become. His feet hit the cold floor. His body screamed. His mind screamed. But he stood up, and he won. For the first time in months, he won the 5 a.m. war. Ethan stood in his dark room. His heart was pounding, not from excitement, from something else. He had done it. He had actually won. The alarm had rung. His body had resisted. His mind had screamed. But he had stood up anyway. He walked to the window. The city was still asleep. The streets were empty. The sky was deep blue, not yet touched by the sun. And for the first time in months, Ethan felt pride that he had forgotten. He made coffee. His hands were steady. He sat at his desk. No phone, no distractions, just silence. And in that silence, he realized something. The war wasn't just about waking up early. It was about trust. Trust in himself. Every time he hit snooze, he broke a promise. Every broken promise made the next one easier to break. He'd trained himself not to trust his own word. And that was the real enemy. Over the next few days, Ethan kept waking up at 5 a.m., but it wasn't easy. Every morning the war came back. The alarm rang, the voice returned. You already did it yesterday. You proved you can. Just rest today. And some mornings, Ethan almost lost. His hand would hover over the phone. His mind would bargain. Just 10 more minutes. That's not failing. But then he remembered, this isn't about time. This is about identity. Who was he willing to become? A man who negotiates with himself, or a man who does what he says? He noticed something else too. The voice that told him to stay in bed, it was the same voice that told him, you can skip the gym today. You can eat junk just this once. You can watch one more episode. You can start that project tomorrow. It wasn't about discipline in one area. It was about discipline in life. The 5 a.m. war was just the first battle, but it was the one that decided everything else. One morning, Ethan went for a walk at 5:30 a.m. The streets were still quiet. The air was cool. He saw an old man sitting on a bench near the park. Calm face, a newspaper in his hands. Ethan nodded. The old man smiled. "You're up early," the man said. "Trying to change myself," Ethan replied. The old man folded his newspaper. He looked at Ethan carefully. "Let me ask you something, son. Do you wake up early because you want to or because you have to?" Ethan frowned. "I don't know. I want to, but it's hard." The old man nodded slowly. "That's because you're still asking your feelings for permission." Ethan frowned again. "What do you mean?" The old man stood up. He pointed at the rising sun. "Every morning the sun rises. Does it ask how it feels? Does it check the weather? Does it negotiate?" Ethan shook his head. "No, it just rises, because that's what it does." The old man looked at Ethan. "Discipline isn't about feeling ready. It's about becoming the kind of person who moves no matter how they feel." He placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. The 5 a.m. war, it's not about waking up early. It's about killing the part of you that waits for permission to live. And then the old man walked away. Ethan stood there. Those words hit him like a hammer. Killing the part of you that waits for permission to live. The next morning, the alarm rang. Ethan didn't think. He didn't negotiate. He just moved. His body was tired, his mind was quiet, but his identity was clear. I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. And slowly, over the next few weeks, the war became quieter. Not because it was easier, but because Ethan stopped fighting himself. He stopped treating 5 a.m. like a punishment. He started treating it like a promise, a sacred promise between him and the man he was becoming. And the strange thing, other parts of his life started changing too. He stopped scrolling mindlessly. He started finishing projects. He stopped saying tomorrow. He started saying now. Because the 5 a.m. war taught him something. Every small battle you win makes you stronger for the next one. Every small promise you keep rebuilds trust in yourself. And trust is the foundation of everything. 3 months passed. Ethan's life didn't become perfect. He didn't become rich. He didn't become famous. But something deeper changed. He changed. Every morning at 5 a.m., he woke up. Not because he felt like it, not because he was motivated, but because he had made a promise, and he was the kind of person who kept promises. His friends started noticing. "You seem different," one of them said. Ethan smiled. He didn't tell them about the 5 a.m. war because they wouldn't understand. They would think it was about productivity, about hustle, about success. But it wasn't. It was about something far more important. Someone who didn't lie to himself. Someone who understood. One evening, Ethan sat on his balcony again. Same place, same time, at 2 a.m. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He looked back at the last 3 months, and he realized something profound. The 5 a.m. war was never about waking up early. It was about identity. Every time he hit snooze, he was choosing an identity. The identity of someone who breaks promises, someone who prioritizes comfort over growth, someone who controlled by feelings. But every time he stood up, he was choosing a different identity. The identity of someone who keeps his word, someone who does hard things, someone who builds trust with himself. And slowly, day by day, battle by battle, that identity became real. Not because he felt strong, but because he acted strong. Ethan understood now. You don't wake up disciplined. You become disciplined by doing disciplined things. You don't wake up confident. You become confident by keeping promises to yourself. One morning, something strange happened. The alarm rang at 5 a.m. Ethan's eyes opened, and for the first time, there was no war. No voice telling him to stay in bed, no negotiation, no resistance. Just peace. His body moved automatically. Feet on the floor, eyes awake, mind clear. He sat at his desk, and he smiled, because he realized the war was over. Not because he had won once, but because he had won so many times that the enemy stopped showing up. His body had learned, his mind had learned, this is who we are now. Discipline wasn't a fight anymore. It was just him. He thought about the old man's words. Discipline is about becoming the kind of person who moves no matter how they feel. And now he understood. Feelings are temporary. Motivation is temporary. But identity? Identity is permanent. And Ethan had built a new identity, not through one big moment, but through 90 small battles, 90 mornings, 90 promises kept. And that changed everything. Let me tell you something. The 5 a.m. war isn't really about waking up early. It's about the war between who you are and who you want to become. Every single day you face this war, not just in the morning, in every decision. When you want to quit, when you want to give up, when you want to take the easy path, there are two voices. One says, do it, keep your promise, become someone you trust. The other says, not today, you're tired, you deserve comfort. And the voice you listen to, that voice shapes your identity. Most people think discipline is about punishing yourself, about forcing yourself to do things you hate. But that's not discipline. Discipline is self-love. It's saying, I love who I'm becoming more than I love staying comfortable. It's choosing your future self over your present feelings. It's understanding that the person you'll be in 1 year is built by the promises you keep today. Ethan never saw the old man again, but he never forgot his words. The sun doesn't ask permission, it just rises. And now, every morning at 5 a.m., Ethan rises too. Not because he has to, but because he's become the kind of person who does. He's no longer fighting himself. He's no longer at war. He's just awake, clear, focused, free. And the life he wanted? It didn't come from motivation. It didn't come from a perfect plan. It came from one simple thing: keeping a promise every single day, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt, because that's where transformation lives, not in the big moments, but in the small, silent battles that nobody talks about. So let me ask you something. What's your 5 a.m. war? What's the one small battle you keep losing? Speak your truth. If this story touched you, if you felt Ethan's struggle, if you know what it's like to fight yourself every single day, then do me one small favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Healing Frames, because we tell stories that don't just motivate you, we tell stories that change you, one battle at a time. Thank you for listening. Now go win your war.